I arrived home earlier than usual that evening. The sun was just setting, casting a warm orange glow over our quiet suburban neighborhood. As I walked up the driveway, I noticed that the front door was slightly ajar. My heart began to race. I cautiously pushed the door open and stepped inside. The house was eerily silent. Normally, I'd be greeted by my wife, Jessica, with a smile and a kiss. But tonight, there was nothing. I made my way through the hallway, the sound of my footsteps echoing off the walls. When I reached our bedroom, the door was closed. I hesitated for a moment, then pushed it open. There she was, tangled in the sheets with a man I had never seen before. The sight of them together, in our bed, was like a punch to the gut. My heart stopped, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. "Jessica, what the hell is going on?" I shouted, my voice cracking with a mix of anger and betrayal. Jessica jumped up, covering herself with the blanket, her face pale with shock. The man scrambled to grab his clothes and bolted past me, not daring to make eye contact. "Jake, it's not what it looks like," Jessica stammered, but I could see the guilt in her eyes. "Not what it looks like?" I repeated, incredulous. "Then what is it, Jessica? Because it looks like you were screwing another man in our bed." She broke down in tears, but I couldn't muster any sympathy. I was too hurt, too angry. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. The argument that followed was a blur. I remember yelling, crying, and accusations flying back and forth. Finally, she admitted it. This wasn't the first time. It had been going on for years, with more men than she could count. I stumbled out of the house, needing to clear my head. I ended up at a bar drinking whiskey and trying to make sense of what had just happened. That's when I called my best friend, Mike. "Jake, man, I'm so sorry," Mike said, his voice filled with genuine concern. "You need to get to the bottom of this. Maybe hire a private investigator." The next morning, with a pounding headache and a heavy heart, I took Mike's advice. I hired a detective named John, who came highly recommended. Within a week, John had gathered enough evidence to confirm my worst fears. Jessica had been with over 100 different men over the past several years. I sat in my office, staring at the report John had given me. Each name, each date, felt like another stab in the heart. My marriage, my life, had been built on lies. That night I couldn't sleep. As I lay awake, a plan began to form in my mind. I wasn't just going to leave Jessica, I was going to make her pay. She needed to feel the same pain and humiliation I had felt. And so, my plan for revenge was born. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of preparations. I found a hacker who helped me gain access to Jessica's email and social media accounts. I started gathering every piece of evidence of her infidelity: photos, messages, videos. I created a dossier that would destroy her reputation. Then I created a fake profile under the name James and began messaging her. It didn't take long for her to respond. We chatted for weeks, and I could see her falling for the trap I had set. Finally, I convinced her to meet James in person. The look of anticipation on her face when she left for that date was almost too much to bear, but I held firm, knowing that the endgame was near. The moment she walked into the restaurant and saw me sitting there instead of James, her face turned ashen. I watched as the realization of my betrayal dawned on her. The tables now turned. In the days that followed, I released the dossier. I sent it to her friends, her family, her colleagues. Her perfect image was shattered, and she had no one to blame but herself. I filed for divorce and made sure she got almost nothing. I sold the house, moved to a new city, and started over. Mike helped me settle into my new life, and eventually, I met Anna, a wonderful woman who showed me what true love is. Looking back, I realized that revenge had its costs, but it also gave me the closure I needed to move forward. Jessica had taught me a painful lesson, but in the end, I came out stronger and wiser. Now, I know the value of trust and the importance of honesty in any relationship. And with Anna by my side, I was ready to start anew. The morning after discovering Jessica's infidelity, I woke up with a throbbing headache and a heavy heart. The events of the previous night felt surreal, like a nightmare I couldn't escape. The bed, still tousled from her betrayal, was a stark reminder of the reality I now faced. I needed answers. I needed to understand how my life had spiraled into this chaos. Fueled by a mixture of anger and desperation, I called Jessica to meet me at a cafe nearby. I chose a public place, hoping it would keep our emotions in check. When she arrived, she looked nervous, her eyes red from crying. She sat down across from me, and for a moment, we just stared at each other. The silence was deafening. "Why, Jessica?" I finally asked, my voice barely more than a whisper. "Why did you do it?" She looked down at her hands, twisting them in her lap. "I don't know, Jake. I don't have a good answer. I felt lonely, I guess. Unfulfilled." "Unfulfilled?" I repeated, my anger rising. "We had a good life, Jessica. We were happy, or at least I thought we were." Tears streamed down her face. "I know, and I hate myself for what I've done. I was selfish and stupid. I never meant to hurt you." "Never meant to hurt me?" I laughed bitterly. "You've been cheating on me for years, Jessica, with over 100 men. Do you have any idea how that makes me feel?" Her eyes widened in shock. "How did you—" "I hired a private investigator," I interrupted. "He gave me a detailed report, names, dates, everything. There's no point in lying anymore." She buried her face in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. Part of me wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. The wound was too fresh, too deep. "I want a divorce," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "And I'm going to make sure you get nothing." Her sobs turned to quiet whimpers. "I understand. I deserve it." The rest of our conversation was a blur. We discussed the logistics of the separation, the division of our assets, and the process of moving forward. When we parted ways, I felt a strange mix of relief and sorrow. The woman I had loved was gone, replaced by someone I could barely recognize. In the following days, I threw myself into planning my revenge. I wasn't content with just a divorce. I needed her to feel the same pain and humiliation I had felt. I reached out to a hacker, a shadowy figure who came recommended through an anonymous online forum. For a hefty fee, he agreed to help me access Jessica's email and social media accounts. With his help, I gathered every incriminating piece of evidence I could find. Photos, messages, videos, all of it painted a damning picture of her infidelity. I compiled everything into a comprehensive dossier, meticulously organized and impossible to refute. Next, I created a fake profile under the name James. I spent weeks crafting a believable online persona, complete with a backstory and interests that would appeal to Jessica. When I was ready, I sent her a friend request. To my surprise, she accepted almost immediately. The first few messages were casual and innocent. We talked about mundane things, work, hobbies, the weather. Slowly, I began to steer the conversation into more personal territory. She responded eagerly, clearly enjoying the attention and flattery. It didn't take long for her to start sharing intimate details about her life and our marriage. She complained about feeling neglected and unappreciated. It was almost laughable, considering what I knew about her double life. When I finally suggested meeting in person, she hesitated, but I played my part perfectly, convincing her that our connection was special, that we needed to see each other face to face. She agreed, and we arranged to meet at a fancy restaurant downtown. The night of the date, I arrived early and watched as she entered the restaurant. She looked beautiful, dressed in a red dress that I had always loved. For a moment, I felt a pang of regret, a fleeting doubt about what I was about to do. But then I remembered the betrayal and the lies, and my resolve hardened. When she saw me sitting at the table instead of James, her face went pale. She stood frozen in the doorway, her eyes wide with shock and confusion. I motioned for her to sit down, and she obeyed, like a puppet on strings. "Surprised to see me?" I asked, a cruel smile on my lips. "Jake, she stammered, but I cut her off. "Save it, Jessica. This was never about meeting someone new. This was about you finally facing the consequences of your actions." I laid out the dossier in front of her, watching as her eyes scanned the damning evidence. Her face crumpled with each new revelation, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I trusted you," I said, my voice cold and hard, "and you betrayed me in the worst possible way. Now, everyone will know who you are." In the days that followed, I released the dossier. I sent it to her friends, her family, her colleagues. Her perfect image was shattered, and she had no one to blame but herself. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal. With the evidence I had, the court granted me almost everything: our house, our savings, even custody of our dog. Jessica was left with nothing, a fitting end for someone who had taken everything from me. I sold the house and moved to a new city, determined to start fresh. Mike was a constant support, helping me rebuild my life piece by piece. Eventually, I met Anna, a kind and loving woman who showed me that true love and trust were still possible. Through it all, I realized that while revenge had given me a sense of closure, it didn't erase the pain of betrayal. But it did teach me valuable lessons about trust, honesty, and the importance of surrounding myself with people who truly cared for me. With Anna by my side, I felt a renewed sense of hope. I was ready to leave the past behind and embrace the future, one day at a time. After our confrontation at the cafe, I was left reeling. The reality of Jessica's betrayal hit me harder than I could have ever imagined. It wasn't just the infidelity itself, but the sheer scale of it. Over 100 men. The woman I had loved and trusted had led a double life, and I was determined to make sure she paid for it. I reached out to John, the private investigator I had hired. We met in his dimly lit office, the walls lined with filing cabinets and corkboards covered in photos and notes from his various cases. John was a grizzled veteran of his trade, with a keen eye for detail and a reputation for thoroughness. "Jake," he said, greeting me with a firm handshake, "I have all the evidence you need, but are you sure about this? Once you go down this path, there's no turning back." "I'm sure," I replied, my voice resolute. "I need to know everything." John handed me a thick folder. Inside were photos, emails, text messages, and even surveillance footage. The evidence was overwhelming. There were pictures of Jessica with different men in various locations, hotels, bars, and even our own home when I was away on business trips. "How did I miss this?" I muttered, flipping through the damning pages. "People see what they want to see," John said gently. "Sometimes the truth is too painful to confront." I thanked John and left his office, the weight of the folder heavy in my hands and in my heart. Back home, I spread the contents across my desk, methodically organizing everything. I knew that if I was going to confront Jessica and expose her, I needed to be meticulous. This wasn't just about hurting her, it was about ensuring she could never hurt anyone else again. I contacted the hacker I had found through the online forum. His name was Kyle, and he operated in the shadows, his identity concealed by layers of anonymity. We communicated through encrypted messages, discussing the details of what I needed. Kyle worked quickly. Within days, he had hacked into Jessica's email and social media accounts. He provided me with a treasure trove of evidence, conversations she had with her lovers, explicit photos she had sent, and plans she had made to meet up with them. Each new piece of information was like another nail in the coffin of our marriage. As I sifted through the data, I felt a cold rage build inside me. The more I discovered, the more determined I became to see my plan through. Jessica had to face the consequences of her actions, and I was going to make sure of it. Using the information Kyle had gathered, I created a detailed dossier. I included screenshots of her conversations, timestamps of her meetings, and even bank statements showing payments for hotel rooms and gifts. It was a comprehensive and damning collection of evidence, leaving no room for doubt about her infidelity. Next, I turned my attention to creating a fake profile. Under the name James, I built a convincing persona, handsome, successful, and attentive. I carefully selected photos and crafted a backstory that would appeal to Jessica. Once everything was in place, I sent her a friend request. Jessica accepted almost immediately. It was disturbingly easy to gain her trust. Over the next few weeks, we chatted frequently. I made sure to mirror her interests and compliment her often. She opened up to me about her dissatisfaction with our marriage, her feelings of loneliness, and her need for excitement. It was infuriating to read, but I played my part perfectly, always responding with understanding and sympathy. Finally, I suggested meeting in person. Jessica hesitated at first, but I reassured her, playing on her emotions and building up the anticipation. She agreed, and we set a date at a fancy restaurant downtown. On the night of the date, I arrived early, my heart pounding with a mix of anger and anticipation. I watched from a corner table as Jessica walked in, looking around expectantly for James. The moment she saw me, her face went pale. She stood frozen in the doorway, shock and confusion written all over her face. I motioned for her to sit down, and she reluctantly obeyed. The silence between us was heavy, charged with unspoken words and unhealed wounds. "Surprised to see me?" I asked, my voice cold. "Jake, she began, but I cut her off. "This was never about meeting someone new, Jessica. This was about you finally facing the consequences of your actions. I laid out the dossier in front of her. Her eyes widened as she scanned the pages, the color draining from her face. Each new piece of evidence was like a hammer blow, shattering the lies she had built around herself. I trusted you, I said, my voice trembling with a mix of rage and pain. And you betrayed me in the worst possible way. Now, everyone will know who you are. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. I released the dossier to her friends, family, and colleagues. The response was immediate and brutal. Jessica's carefully curated image was destroyed, and she had no one to blame but herself. The divorce proceedings were swift and merciless. Armed with the overwhelming evidence of her infidelity, I secured almost everything: the house, our savings, and even custody of our dog. Jessica was left with nothing but the wreckage of her own making. I sold the house and moved to a new city, determined to start fresh. Mike was a constant support, helping me rebuild my life piece by piece. Eventually, I met Anna, a kind and loving woman who showed me that true love and trust were still possible. Through it all, I realized that while revenge had given me a sense of closure, it didn't erase the pain of betrayal. But it did teach me valuable lessons about trust, honesty, and the importance of surrounding myself with people who truly cared for me. With Anna by my side, I felt a renewed sense of hope. I was ready to leave the past behind and embrace the future, one day at a time. The aftermath of our restaurant confrontation left me with a hollow satisfaction. Jessica's world was crumbling, but my plan was far from complete. I needed to draw her deeper into my trap, to make her feel the same betrayal and humiliation I had endured. The fake profile under the name James was the key. I spent hours crafting the persona of James. I selected a profile picture of a handsome man in his mid-30s, with a charming smile and confident demeanor. I chose photos that depicted an active, adventurous lifestyle, hiking in the mountains, sailing on a yacht, and relaxing at upscale bars. James had to be the perfect blend of mystery and allure, someone Jessica would be irresistibly drawn to. For the backstory, I made James a successful entrepreneur who had recently moved to the city. He was well-read, cultured, and always ready with a witty remark or a thoughtful compliment. I filled his profile with posts about his travels, his favorite books and movies, and musings on life and relationships. Everything was carefully curated to catch Jessica's interest. Once the profile was ready, I sent her a friend request. I watched with bated breath as she accepted almost immediately. It was disturbingly easy. Jessica, it seemed, was always looking for the next thrill, the next distraction from the emptiness she claimed to feel. Our initial conversations were light and casual. I introduced myself, shared a few anecdotes, and asked her about her interests. Jessica responded eagerly, clearly intrigued by this new, exciting stranger. She told me about her love for art, her passion for travel, and her disillusionment with her current life. It was infuriating to hear her talk about our marriage with such disdain, but I kept my responses friendly and engaging. As weeks passed, our conversations grew more intimate. Jessica confided in me about her feelings of loneliness and her craving for excitement. She spoke of our marriage as if it were a prison, a place where she felt trapped and unfulfilled. I played my part perfectly, always sympathetic and understanding, subtly feeding her need for validation and attention. One evening, as we chatted about our favorite travel destinations, I steered the conversation towards meeting in person. "You know, Jessica," I wrote, "I feel like we have a real connection. I'd love to take you to this amazing little cafe I know. How about we meet up this Saturday?" She hesitated. "I don't know, James. Meeting someone online feels a bit risky." "I understand," I replied smoothly. "But sometimes taking a risk can lead to something wonderful. Besides, it's just coffee. What do you have to lose?" She paused for a long time before finally replying, "Okay, let's do it." I felt a thrill of anticipation. The trap was set. The night before our planned meeting, I meticulously prepared. I chose a cozy cafe downtown, one that Jessica and I had never visited together. I arrived early, securing a table in a quiet corner where I could watch the entrance. When Jessica walked in, she looked stunning. She wore a blue dress that accentuated her figure, and her hair fell in loose waves around her shoulders. She scanned the room, her expression a mix of excitement and nervousness. Then her eyes found mine. Her face went pale. She stood frozen in the doorway, shock and confusion etched on her features. I motioned for her to sit down, and she reluctantly approached, her steps faltering. Jake, what? What are you doing here? She stammered, her voice trembling. Surprised to see me? I asked, my tone cold and unforgiving. There is no James, Jessica. It was me all along. Her eyes filled with tears as she sank into the chair opposite me. Why? Why would you do this? To make you understand, I said, leaning forward. To make you feel the betrayal, the humiliation, the pain that you inflicted on me. I reached into my bag and pulled out the dossier. Look at this, Jessica. Look at the evidence of your infidelity. Look at the lies you told, the people you hurt. You thought you could get away with it, but now everyone will know the truth. She flipped through the pages, her hands shaking. Each new piece of evidence was a blow, shattering the lies she had told herself. She looked up at me, her face a mask of despair. Jake, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you like this. Sorry doesn't cut it, I said, my voice harsh. You need to face the consequences of your actions. You need to feel what it's like to have your life fall apart. The next day, I began releasing the dossier. I sent it to her friends, her family, her colleagues. The fallout was immediate. Her friends distanced themselves, her family was devastated, and her colleagues lost all respect for her. Jessica's world was collapsing, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. As the divorce proceedings progressed, I used the overwhelming evidence of her infidelity to secure almost everything. The house, our savings, and even custody of our dog. Jessica was left with nothing but the ashes of her ruined life. I sold the house and moved to a new city, determined to start fresh. Mike was a constant support, helping me rebuild my life piece by piece. Eventually, I met Anna, a kind and loving woman who showed me that true love and trust were still possible. Through it all, I realized that while revenge had given me a sense of closure, it didn't erase the pain of betrayal. But it did teach me valuable lessons about trust, honesty, and the importance of surrounding myself with people who truly cared for me. With Anna by my side, I felt a renewed sense of hope. I was ready to leave the past behind and embrace the future, one day at a time. With the fake profile of James working flawlessly, it was time to set up the date. I had already laid the groundwork, and Jessica was falling for the charm and attention that James offered. Each conversation, each message, brought her closer to the moment of ultimate revelation. One evening, as we chatted online, I brought up the idea of meeting in person again. The timing had to be perfect, and I had to make sure she was completely comfortable and excited about the prospect. Jessica, I've enjoyed our conversations, I typed, my fingers trembling slightly with anticipation. I feel like we have a real connection. How about we meet up for coffee this weekend? She replied almost immediately. I'd love to, James, but I'm a bit nervous about meeting someone from online. What if you're not who you say you are? I smiled at her hesitation. It was a good sign. I understand your concerns, I responded, but I promise you won't be disappointed. We'll meet in a public place, and if you feel uncomfortable at any point, you can leave. No pressure. There was a long pause before her next message arrived. Okay, let's do it. Where should we meet? I suggested a quaint cafe downtown, one that Jessica and I had never visited together. It was the perfect spot, intimate, yet public enough to keep things under control. We set the date for Saturday afternoon. On the day of the date, I arrived early and chose a table in a secluded corner where I could see the entrance. The cafe was cozy, filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the soft hum of conversation. I ordered a drink and waited, my heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and nerves. When Jessica walked in, she looked stunning. She wore a blue dress that accentuated her figure, and her hair fell in loose waves around her shoulders. She scanned the room, her expression a mix of excitement and nervousness. Then her eyes found mine. Her face went pale. She stood frozen in the doorway, shock and confusion etched on her features. I motioned for her to sit down, and she reluctantly approached, her steps faltering. Jake, what are you doing here? She stammered, her voice trembling. Surprised to see me? I asked, my tone cold and unforgiving. There is no James, Jessica. It was me all along. Her eyes filled with tears as she sank into the chair opposite me. Why? Why would you do this? To make you understand, I said, leaning forward. To make you feel the betrayal, the humiliation, the pain that you inflicted on me. I reached into my bag and pulled out the dossier. Look at this, Jessica. Look at the evidence of your infidelity. Look at the lies you told, the people you hurt. You thought you could get away with it, but now everyone will know the truth." She flipped through the pages, her hands shaking. Each new piece of evidence was a blow, shattering the lies she had told herself. She looked up at me, her face a mask of despair. "Jake, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you like this." "Sorry doesn't cut it," I said, my voice harsh. "You need to face the consequences of your actions. You need to feel what it's like to have your life fall apart." Jessica broke down in tears, her sobs echoing in the quiet cafe. The other patrons glanced over, their curiosity piqued by the drama unfolding before them. I felt a pang of guilt, but I pushed it aside. She needed to face the reality of her actions. "Jake, please," she pleaded. "Don't do this. We can work through this. I can change." "It's too late for that," I replied, my voice unwavering. "You made your choices, and now you have to live with them." I stood up, leaving the dossier on the table. "This is over, Jessica. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm taking everything. You'll have nothing but the consequences of your actions." As I walked out of the cafe, I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sorrow. The revenge I had planned for so long was finally coming to fruition, but it didn't bring the closure I had hoped for. The pain of betrayal still lingered, a dull ache that refused to fade. In the following days, I made good on my promise. I filed for divorce, armed with the overwhelming evidence of her infidelity. The legal proceedings were swift and brutal. I secured almost everything: the house, our savings, and even custody of our dog. Jessica was left with nothing but the wreckage of her own making. Her friends and family, now aware of the full extent of her betrayal, distanced themselves from her. She became a pariah, her reputation in tatters. The once confident and vibrant woman I had married was now a shadow of her former self, broken and alone. I sold the house and moved to a new city, determined to start fresh. Mike was a constant support, helping me rebuild my life piece by piece. Eventually, I met Anna, a kind and loving woman who showed me that true love and trust were still possible. Through it all, I realized that while revenge had given me a sense of closure, it didn't erase the pain of betrayal. But it did teach me valuable lessons about trust, honesty, and the importance of surrounding myself with people who truly cared for me. With Anna by my side, I felt a renewed sense of hope. I was ready to leave the past behind and embrace the future, one day at a time. The weeks following our final confrontation were a whirlwind of emotions and legal battles. The divorce proceedings, fueled by the irrefutable evidence of Jessica's infidelity, were swift and brutal. I made sure every detail of her betrayal was laid bare for the court to see. The judge had no choice but to rule in my favor, granting me almost everything: our house, our savings, and even custody of our dog, Max. Jessica was left with nothing but her guilt and shame. Moving out of the house we had shared was bittersweet. Each room held memories of happier times, but they were tainted by the knowledge of her deceit. I sold the house quickly, eager to put the past behind me. Mike was there every step of the way, helping me pack up my belongings and offering me a shoulder to lean on. Once the house was sold, I decided to move to a new city, a fresh start in a place where I wasn't haunted by the ghosts of my failed marriage. I found a cozy apartment in a quiet neighborhood, and with Mike's help, I began to rebuild my life. The change of scenery did me good, allowing me to focus on myself for the first time in years. I threw myself into my work, taking on new projects and responsibilities. My colleagues noticed the change in me, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of purpose and accomplishment. The pain of betrayal still lingered, but it was no longer the all-consuming force it had once been. One evening, as I was settling into my new routine, Mike introduced me to Anna. She was a friend of his from college, a warm and genuine woman with a kind smile and an infectious laugh. We hit it off immediately, bonding over shared interests and mutual experiences. For the first time since the divorce, I felt a glimmer of hope. Anna and I began to spend more time together. She was patient and understanding, never pushing me to move faster than I was comfortable with. Her kindness and compassion were a balm to my wounded heart. She helped me see that true love and trust were still possible, even after everything I had been through. As our relationship deepened, I confided in her about Jessica and the revenge I had orchestrated. Anna listened without judgment, offering support and understanding. She helped me see that while revenge had given me a sense of closure, It didn't erase the pain of betrayal, but it did teach me valuable lessons about trust, honesty, and the importance of surrounding myself with people who truly cared for me. One evening, as we sat together on the balcony of my apartment, watching the sunset, I felt a sense of peace that had eluded me for so long. With Anna by my side, I was ready to leave the past behind and embrace the future, one day at a time. Meanwhile, Jessica's life had taken a downward spiral. The dossier I had released to her friends, family, and colleagues had destroyed her reputation. She was ostracized and alone, a pariah in the eyes of those who once held her in high regard. She had lost her job, her friends, and the respect of her family. Her once bright future was now shrouded in darkness. I heard through the grapevine that she had moved back to her hometown, seeking refuge with her parents. They had reluctantly taken her in, but their relationship was strained. Jessica had a long road ahead of her if she hoped to rebuild her life, and I found a strange sense of closure in knowing that she was finally facing the consequences of her actions. With Jessica out of my life and Anna by my side, I began to focus on the things that truly mattered. I rekindled old friendships, pursued new hobbies, and continued to excel at work. I even started volunteering at a local animal shelter, finding solace in helping others and giving back to the community. As the months passed, the pain of betrayal faded, replaced by a sense of resilience and strength. I had survived the darkest period of my life and emerged stronger and wiser. The experience taught me the value of trust, the importance of honesty, and the power of true love. One day, as Anna and I walked hand in hand through the park, I realized that I had finally found the happiness and peace I had been searching for. The past was behind me, and the future was full of promise. In the end, I learned that while revenge may provide a temporary sense of satisfaction, it is love and forgiveness that truly heal the wounds of betrayal. With Anna by my side, I was ready to embrace the future and leave the past behind, one day at a time. Jessica's reaction to our last encounter was as dramatic as I had anticipated. The shock and betrayal etched on her face when she realized the truth about James still haunted me, even though I knew she deserved it. As I walked out of the cafe, leaving her with the damning dossier, I could hear her anguished sobs echoing in my ears. Over the next few days, the fallout from the exposure of her infidelity spread like wildfire. Jessica tried to reach out to me, bombarding my phone with calls and texts. Her messages ranged from desperate pleas for forgiveness to angry accusations, but I ignored them all. She needed to face the reality of her actions on her own. Her friends and family were quick to distance themselves from her. The dossier I had released made sure of that. Her carefully curated image was shattered, and she found herself isolated and alone. Even her closest friends couldn't overlook the extent of her betrayal. Jessica had built her life on a web of lies, and now it was unraveling around her. I heard from mutual acquaintances that Jessica had been fired from her job. The scandal had reached her workplace, and the management decided they couldn't afford to have someone with her reputation on their team. The news gave me a grim sense of satisfaction. She was finally reaping what she had sown. Jessica's family was devastated. Her parents, once so proud of their accomplished daughter, were now faced with the harsh reality of her actions. They took her in, but their relationship was strained. Jessica's mother in particular struggled to reconcile the daughter she had raised with the woman who had betrayed her husband so thoroughly. Jessica's downward spiral continued. Without a job, friends, or the respect of her family, she turned to alcohol to numb the pain. Reports of her being seen stumbling out of bars late at night became common. She was a shadow of her former self, lost and broken. One evening, Mike and I were having dinner when he received a call. He stepped outside to take it, and when he returned, his expression was somber. "What's wrong?" I asked, concerned. "It's Jessica," he said, hesitating. "She's been admitted to the hospital. Alcohol poisoning." I felt a pang of guilt mixed with anger. Despite everything she had done, she was still a human being, someone I had once loved. But I couldn't let her self-destruction pull me back into the chaos. I had to stay strong for my own sake. Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about Jessica. I wondered if I had gone too far, if my quest for revenge had pushed her over the edge. But then I reminded myself of the countless nights I had spent alone, wondering where she was, who she was with. Her actions had consequences, and she needed to face them. Eventually, I decided to visit her in the hospital. I needed closure, and maybe, in some way, so did she. When I walked into her room, I barely recognized her. She looked pale and frail, a stark contrast to the confident woman I had married. "Jake?" Her voice was weak, filled with a mixture of hope and despair. "Jessica," I said, standing at the foot of her bed. "I came to see how you're doing." She burst into tears. "I'm so sorry, Jake. I've ruined everything. I don't know what to do." I sighed, feeling a wave of conflicting emotions. "Jessica, you made choices, and now you're dealing with the consequences. I can't fix this for you. You need to find a way to rebuild your life, to make amends for what you've done." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know, I don't know where to start." I took a deep breath. "Start by being honest with yourself and with others. Get help if you need it. And most importantly, learn from your mistakes." As I left the hospital, I felt a strange sense of relief. I had said what needed to be said, and now it was up to Jessica to find her path. I couldn't carry her burden any longer. Back in my new city, I focused on moving forward. With Anna by my side, I felt a renewed sense of hope. She was a constant source of support and love, helping me to heal from the wounds of the past. Jessica's journey was her own. I couldn't control her actions or her choices. All I could do was focus on my own life, my happiness. And with each passing day, I found myself letting go of the anger and pain, embracing the future with a sense of optimism I hadn't felt in years. In the end, I learned that true closure doesn't come from revenge. It comes from within, from finding the strength to forgive and move on. And with Anna's love and support, I was finally ready to do just that. With Jessica's turmoil firmly in the past, I focused on building a new life in the new city. The divorce had been finalized, the house sold, and my connections to our shared life severed. Yet, the emotional residue of betrayal lingered. Anna, patient and understanding, became my anchor, guiding me toward healing. One evening, as Anna and I prepared dinner in my apartment, she broached a subject we had delicately avoided. "Jake," she began softly, "have you thought about talking to someone? A therapist, maybe?" I looked at her, stirring the pasta absent-mindedly. "I don't know, Anna. I've always handled things on my own." "I understand," she replied, placing a reassuring hand on mine. "But sometimes it helps to have an outside perspective. You've been through so much." After dinner, I mulled over her suggestion. Despite my reservations, I decided to give it a try. The next week, I found myself sitting in a cozy office talking to Dr. Thompson, a therapist recommended by a colleague. Dr. Thompson was a middle-aged woman with a kind face and a calming presence. "So, Jake," she began, "tell me what brought you here." I recounted my story, my marriage, Jessica's betrayal, and the elaborate revenge. As I spoke, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders. It was cathartic, sharing my pain and anger with someone who listened without judgment. "Revenge often feels satisfying at the moment," Dr. Thompson said, "but it doesn't truly heal the wounds. Forgiveness and self-compassion are key." Over the next few months, I attended regular sessions with Dr. Thompson. We delved into my feelings of betrayal, my quest for revenge, and the lingering pain. She helped me see that while my actions were understandable, they didn't bring the closure I sought. Through therapy, I learned to forgive Jessica, not for her sake, but for mine. Holding on to anger and resentment only prolonged my suffering. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting or condoning her actions. It meant releasing myself from the grip of the past. Anna supported me throughout this journey, always ready with a comforting word or a listening ear. Our relationship grew stronger, built on a foundation of honesty and trust. With her by my side, I began to find peace. One sunny Saturday, Anna and I decided to take a hike in a nearby nature reserve. The trail wound through lush forest and offered stunning views of the surrounding hills. As we walked, I felt a sense of tranquility that had eluded me for so long. "Jake," Anna said as we reached a scenic overlook, "I'm so proud of how far you've come. You've faced your demons and come out stronger." I smiled, taking her hand. "I couldn't have done it without you, Anna. You've been my rock." We sat down on a bench, taking in the breathtaking view. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you," I said, turning to face her. "I love you, Anna. You've brought so much light into my life." Her eyes sparkled with tears. "I love you too, Jake. more than words can say. As we embraced, I felt a profound sense of closure. The pain of the past was still there, but it no longer defined me. I had found love and happiness again, and I was ready to embrace the future with an open heart. In the following months, Anna and I grew even closer. We talked about our dreams and aspirations, supporting each other in every way possible. I continued to volunteer at the animal shelter, finding joy in helping the animals find loving homes. Jessica's life remained a distant shadow. I heard through the grapevine that she was slowly rebuilding her life, attending therapy, and working on her issues. While I wished her no harm, I no longer felt the need to keep tabs on her. My focus was on my journey, my happiness. As the seasons changed, so did I. The anger and bitterness that had once consumed me were replaced with a sense of peace and acceptance. I had faced the worst and come out stronger. With Anna by my side and a renewed sense of purpose, I looked forward to the future. One evening, as we watched the sunset from our balcony, Anna turned to me with a smile. "Jake, do you ever think about what's next for us?" I took her hand in mine. "I do, Anna, and I know that whatever comes, we'll face it together." At that moment, I realized that my journey of healing wasn't just about overcoming betrayal. It was about finding love and trust again, about building a life filled with joy and purpose. And with Anna, I had found all of that and more. Together, we embraced the future, ready to face whatever challenges and adventures lay ahead. The past was behind us, and the road to healing had led us to a place of love and hope. The crisp air of autumn brought a renewed sense of anticipation. Life with Anna had settled into a comfortable rhythm, and the future felt full of promise. We spent weekends exploring new places, trying new recipes, and deepening our connection. Yet despite the peace we had found together, there was one more step I needed to take to truly move on from my past. One evening, while Anna and I were having dinner, she asked me a question that had been on her mind. "Jake, have you ever thought about reaching out to Jessica? Not to rekindle anything, but to find closure?" I paused, considering her words. "I've thought about it. Part of me feels like it's unnecessary, but another part wonders if it might help both of us heal." Anna nodded. "Sometimes, forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about freeing yourself from the past." A few days later, I decided to write Jessica a letter. It was the best way to express my feelings without reopening old wounds through a confrontation. I spent hours crafting the letter, carefully choosing my words. Asterisk, asterisk. Dear Jessica, I hope this letter finds you well. It's taken me a long time to reach out to you, but I feel it's an important step in my healing process. We've both been through a lot, and I wanted to share my thoughts with you. First and foremost, I want to say that I forgive you. The pain of your betrayal was immense, and the path to forgiveness has been long and difficult. But holding on to anger and resentment only hurt me more. Letting go has brought me peace. I've moved on with my life. I found love again with someone who truly cares for me, and I'm happy. I hope that you too are finding your way and working through your challenges. This isn't about reopening old wounds or seeking any kind of reconciliation. It's about closure. I needed to let you know that while the past will always be a part of our story, it no longer defines who I am. I wish you the best, Jessica. I hope you find happiness and peace in your life. Sincerely, Jake. I mailed the letter, feeling a sense of relief as I dropped it into the mailbox. It was a final act of letting go, a way to close the chapter of my life that had been marred by betrayal and revenge. With the letter sent, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Anna and I continued to build our lives together, and our love grew stronger with each passing day. She was my rock, my confidant, and my partner in every sense of the word. One crisp November afternoon, we decided to visit a nearby pumpkin patch. It was a charming place, filled with families and couples enjoying the festive atmosphere. As we wandered through the rows of pumpkins, Anna looked at me with a thoughtful expression. "Jake, there's something I've been wanting to ask you," she said, her voice soft. I smiled, curious. "What's on your mind?" She took a deep breath. "I know we've both been through a lot, and I know you've found a way to heal. But I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about us taking the next step? About making our commitment to each other official?" Her words took me by surprise, but in the best possible way. I had been thinking about our future too, and her question was the perfect culmination of our journey together. "Anna," I said, taking her hands in mine, "nothing would make me happier than to spend the rest of my life with you. You've been my light through the darkest times, and I can't imagine my life without you." Tears welled up in her eyes as she smiled. "Jake, I love you more than words can say. Yes, let's make it official." As we stood there surrounded by the vibrant colors of autumn, I felt a profound sense of joy. The past was behind us, and the future was full of promise. With Anna by my side, I knew we could face anything together. A few weeks later, we gathered with close friends and family for an intimate ceremony. Mike stood by my side as my best man, a constant reminder of the support and friendship that had helped me through the toughest times. Anna's family welcomed me with open arms, and the day was filled with love and laughter. As we exchanged vows, I looked into Anna's eyes and saw a future filled with endless possibilities. We were building a life together, one founded on trust, love, and mutual respect. The pain of the past had forged a stronger bond between us, and I was grateful for every moment that had led us to this point. In the years that followed, Anna and I continued to grow together. We traveled, explored new hobbies, and supported each other in our careers. Our love deepened with each passing day, and I knew I had found my soulmate. Jessica remained a distant memory, a chapter that had been closed and filed away. I hoped she had found her path to healing, but my focus was on the present and the future. With Anna by my side, I embraced each new day with hope and gratitude. We had overcome so much, and our love had emerged stronger than ever. The road to healing had been long and difficult, but it had led me to a place of true happiness and peace. As we stood on the balcony of our new home, watching the sunset, I realized that the journey was just beginning. The past was behind us, and the future was ours to create. And with Anna, I knew that anything was possible. Life with Anna had blossomed into a beautiful tapestry of shared dreams, experiences, and love. As we settled into our new home together, I found myself reflecting on the journey that had brought me here, through betrayal, revenge, and ultimately, healing. One crisp autumn morning, Anna and I sat on our porch sipping coffee and enjoying the peaceful surroundings. The leaves rustled gently in the breeze, a reminder of the changing seasons and the passage of time. "Jake," Anna said, breaking the comfortable silence, "do you ever think about what we've been through? About how far we've come?" I smiled, reaching for her hand. "All the time, Anna. Our journey together has been nothing short of miraculous." She leaned her head on my shoulder, her gaze distant. "Sometimes I think about Jessica and wonder if she ever found peace." I nodded thoughtfully. "I hope so. I hope she's been able to move on and find happiness too." Anna turned to me, her eyes searching mine. "Do you ever regret how things ended between you two? The revenge?" I took a deep breath, considering her question carefully. "I don't regret standing up for myself, Anna. I needed to reclaim my sense of dignity and self-worth. But I do wish things hadn't escalated to that point. Revenge brought temporary satisfaction, but it didn't truly heal the wounds." She squeezed my hand gently. "I'm glad you found closure, Jake, and I'm grateful that we found each other." I smiled, brushing a stray hair from her face. "Me too, Anna. You've been my rock through it all." In the weeks and months that followed, I continued to reflect on the lessons I had learned. I realized that while revenge had provided a fleeting sense of justice, it was forgiveness and acceptance that brought lasting peace. I had carried the burden of anger and resentment for too long, and letting go had been liberating. Anna and I immersed ourselves in our passions and interests. We traveled to new places, pursued hobbies, and built a life filled with laughter and love. Our bond grew stronger with each passing day, anchored in mutual respect and unwavering support. One day, as I was organizing old boxes in the attic, I came across a photo album from my wedding with Jessica. Flipping through the pages, I saw images of a younger version of myself, smiling and hopeful. Memories of our happy times together mingled with the pain of betrayal. But instead of bitterness, I felt a sense of gratitude for the lessons learned, for the strength gained, and for the love I had found with Anna. I closed the album with a smile, ready to embrace the future with an open heart. As the years passed, Anna and I celebrated milestones together. anniversaries, promotions, and the joy of starting a family. We welcomed a daughter, Lily, into our lives, and she brought a new sense of wonder and joy. Through it all, I never forgot the journey that had shaped me. The pain of betrayal had transformed into resilience and empathy. I had learned to forgive not just others but myself as well. Occasionally I heard snippets of news about Jessica, how she had rebuilt her life, found a new career, and formed new relationships. I was genuinely happy for her, knowing that she had found her path to healing. As Lily grew older, I shared stories from my past with her. I wanted her to understand the importance of honesty, trust, and forgiveness in building meaningful relationships. Anna and I raised her with love and guidance, nurturing her curiosity and supporting her dreams. One evening, as Anna and I watched Lily play in the backyard, I turned to her with a smile. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" She nodded, her eyes sparkling with love. "Yes, Jake, and I wouldn't change a thing." Together, we embraced the beauty of our journey, the highs and lows, the challenges and triumphs. We had found happiness and peace, and we were grateful for every moment of it. As I looked out at the sunset painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I felt a deep sense of contentment. The road to healing had been winding and difficult, but it had led me to a place of fulfillment and joy. And with Anna and Lily by my side, I knew that life was truly beautiful. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another, a story of love, resilience, and the power of forgiveness. And as I leaned in to kiss Anna's cheek, I knew that our journey together was far from over. Years had passed since the tumultuous events that reshaped my life. Anna, Lily, and I had settled into a comfortable rhythm, cherishing each moment together as a family. Our home was filled with love, laughter, and the occasional chaos that comes with raising a spirited child. One crisp autumn afternoon, as I sat in my study flipping through old photo albums, a familiar name caught my eye: Jessica. It had been years since I had thought about her, but seeing her name brought a rush of memories flooding back. I wondered how she was doing, whether she had found lasting happiness, whether she had truly moved on from the mistakes of her past. A part of me felt a lingering curiosity, a desire for closure. I decided to do a quick online search, typing her name into the search engine. After a few moments, I found a profile that matched her description: an accomplished professional in a field she had always been passionate about. Her LinkedIn profile showed a successful career trajectory, endorsements from colleagues, and a list of impressive achievements. Scrolling through her profile, I felt a mix of emotions: surprise, relief, and even a touch of pride for her accomplishments. It seemed that she had indeed found her way, carving out a new path for herself despite the setbacks of the past. As I clicked through her profile, I noticed a recent article she had written, a reflection on resilience and personal growth. Intrigued, I opened it and began to read. Her words were thoughtful and introspective, touching on themes of overcoming adversity, learning from mistakes, and finding strength in vulnerability. It struck me how far we had both come since our turbulent days together. We had each faced our challenges, navigated our paths to healing, and emerged stronger for it. Setting the laptop aside, I leaned back in my chair and reflected on my journey. The pain of betrayal had once consumed me, driving me to seek revenge. But in the end, it was forgiveness that had set me free. Anna had been my guiding light throughout it all. Her unwavering support and love had helped me find peace and happiness again. Lily had brought boundless joy into our lives, reminding me of the beauty of new beginnings and the resilience of the human spirit. I realized then that closure wasn't about forgetting or erasing the past. It was about finding acceptance and understanding, about acknowledging the role that each experience had played in shaping who I had become. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the room, I felt a sense of gratitude wash over me. I am grateful for the love and support of my family, for the lessons learned along the way, and for the opportunity to live a life filled with meaning and purpose. Closing my eyes, I took a deep breath and smiled. The journey had been long and challenging, marked by moments of heartache and triumph. But through it all, I had found closure in forgiveness, in love, and the quiet moments of reflection that reminded me of how far I had come. With a heart full of peace and contentment, I rose from my chair and made my way downstairs, eager to join Anna and Lily for dinner. As I entered the kitchen, greeted by the comforting aroma of a home-cooked meal, I knew that I was exactly where I was meant to be. The road to closure had been winding and unpredictable, but it had led me to a place of deep fulfillment and happiness. And as we gathered around the table sharing stories and laughter, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us here, together, as a family. As I tucked Lily into bed later that evening, listening to her sleepy giggles and whispered dreams, I knew that life was full of unexpected twists and turns. But with Anna by my side and Lily in my arms, I was ready to face whatever the future held. Closing the door softly behind me, I joined Anna in our bedroom, where she awaited me with a smile that spoke volumes. And as we embraced, surrounded by the quiet comfort of our home, I knew that I had found my happily ever after. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another, a story of resilience, forgiveness, and the enduring power of love. And as I settled into bed beside Anna, grateful for the warmth of her presence, I knew that our journey together was far from over. Life had settled into a rhythm of contentment and joy. Anna, Lily, and I embraced each day with gratitude, cherishing the simple pleasures of family life and the deep bond that connected us. As Lily grew older, she became a bright, curious child, with a penchant for asking profound questions. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, she looked up from her plate with wide eyes. "Mom, Dad," she began, her voice filled with curiosity, "can you tell me the story of how you met?" Anna and I exchanged a smile, knowing that this story held a special place in our hearts. "Of course, sweetie," Anna said, her eyes sparkling with fond memories. "It all started a few years ago." As Anna recounted the tale of our first meeting, an accidental bump at a coffee shop that led to a conversation that never seemed to end, I watched Lily's face light up with wonder. She listened intently, hanging on every word as we described the connection that had blossomed into love. "And then," I added with a chuckle, "your mom stole my heart with her laughter and kindness." Lily giggled, her eyes sparkling. "I'm glad you met, Mom and Dad. You make a great team." After dinner, as Anna tucked Lily into bed, I lingered in the hallway, reflecting on the journey that had brought us here. Our love story had unfolded against the backdrop of trials and tribulations, but it had always been grounded in resilience and hope. In the quiet of our home, I found myself drawn to the attic once again. The old photo albums beckoned, filled with snapshots of memories that spanned decades. I flipped through the pages, pausing at familiar faces and cherished moments. There, amidst the faded photographs, was a picture of Jessica and me on our wedding day. The memory stirred a mix of emotions: sadness for the dreams that had been shattered, gratitude for the lessons learned, and forgiveness for the past that had shaped me. Closing the album gently, I realized that Jessica's chapter in my life had served its purpose, to teach me about resilience, forgiveness, and the enduring power of love. Her journey, like mine, had taken unexpected turns but ultimately led to growth and transformation. As I descended the attic stairs, I heard Anna humming softly in the kitchen, the comforting sounds of home filling the air. She turned to greet me with a smile that warmed my heart, her eyes reflecting the love and happiness we had built together. "Jake," she said, reaching for my hand, "do you ever think about how far we've come?" I nodded, squeezing her hand gently. "Every day, Anna. Our journey hasn't been easy, but it's been worth every moment." Together we stood in the kitchen, bathed in the soft glow of the evening light. The challenges of the past had faded into memories, replaced by a deep sense of gratitude for the present and hope for the future. In the years that followed, Anna and I continued to cherish our bond, nurturing it with love and dedication. Lily grew into a remarkable young woman, embodying the resilience and kindness that had defined our family. We celebrated milestones together: birthdays, anniversaries, and the joy of witnessing Lily's achievements. Each moment was a testament to the strength of our family and the enduring power of love. One summer afternoon, as we gathered in the backyard for a barbecue with friends and family, I watched Lily laugh with her cousins, her joy infectious. Anna stood beside me, her hand in mine, as we shared a moment of quiet reflection. "Jake," Anna said softly, "do you remember when we first moved here? It feels like a lifetime ago." I smiled, recalling the excitement and uncertainty of starting anew in a place that had quickly become home. "It does," I replied, "but I wouldn't change a thing." As the sun set behind the horizon, casting a warm glow over our gathering, I knew that life was full of endless possibilities. Our journey taught us resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of embracing each moment with gratitude. In the quiet moments of the evening, as I sat on the porch with Anna by my side, I felt a profound sense of peace. The road to this moment had been winding and unpredictable, but it had led us to a place of deep fulfillment and happiness. Closing my eyes, I listened to the sounds of laughter and conversation drifting through the air. Anna leaned her head on my shoulder, and together, we savored the beauty of the present, a testament to the enduring strength of our love and the promise of new horizons yet to come. Life continued to unfold in unexpected ways, filled with moments of joy, growth, and new beginnings. Anna and I found ourselves at a crossroads, contemplating the next chapter of our journey together. One crisp autumn morning as we sipped coffee on our porch, Anna turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Jake, do you ever think about what's next for us? About where life will take us from here?" I set down my mug, meeting her gaze with a smile. "I do, Anna. I feel like we're on the brink of something new, something exciting." She nodded, her eyes shining with anticipation. "I've been offered a position in a different city," she confessed. "It's a great opportunity, but it means leaving everything behind." My heart skipped a beat at her words. The thought of leaving our home, our friends, and the familiar comforts of our life together stirred a mix of emotions within me. But more than anything, I wanted Anna to pursue her dreams and seize every opportunity that came her way. "I think you should take it," I said finally, reaching for her hand. "We'll figure it out together like we always do." Anna smiled gratefully, squeezing my hand. "Thank you, Jake. I knew you'd understand." In the weeks that followed, we navigated the practicalities of relocating, selling our home, finding a new place to live, and saying bittersweet goodbyes to friends and neighbors who had become like family. As moving day approached, I found myself reflecting on the journey that had led us to this moment. Our home had been a sanctuary, a place where we had laughed, cried, and built a life together. But I knew that home wasn't just a place. It was wherever Anna and Lily were. On the eve of our departure, I stood in our empty living room, surrounded by echoes of memories. Anna found me there, her eyes reflecting the same mix of nostalgia and excitement. "Ready for our next adventure?" she asked softly, stepping into my embrace. I nodded, holding her close. "More than ready, Anna. Wherever life takes us, I know we'll face it together." The next morning, we set off for our new city, a blank canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of our new life. As we drove through familiar landscapes that slowly gave way to new vistas, I felt a sense of anticipation and possibility. Settling into our new home brought its own set of challenges and joys. Lily adjusted to her new school with remarkable resilience, making friends and exploring new interests. Anna threw herself into her new role with enthusiasm, finding fulfillment in her work and connecting with colleagues who shared her passion. As for me, I embraced the opportunity to explore a different side of myself, volunteering in the community, pursuing new hobbies, and immersing myself in the vibrant culture of our new city. Each day brought discoveries and experiences that enriched our lives in unexpected ways. One evening, as Anna and I sat on our balcony overlooking the city skyline, she turned to me with a smile. "Jake, do you remember when we first moved here? It feels like a lifetime ago." I nodded, a fond smile tugging at my lips. "It does, Anna, but I'm grateful for every moment." She leaned her head on my shoulder, gazing out at the twinkling lights of the city below. "Me too, Jake. This city has brought us new opportunities, new friends, and a fresh perspective." In that moment, I realized that change wasn't something to be feared. It was an essential part of growth and renewal. Our journey taught us resilience, adaptability, and the beauty of embracing new beginnings. As the years passed, our roots in our new city grew deeper. Lily thrived in her studies and extracurricular activities, blossoming into a confident young woman with dreams of her own. Anna's career continued to flourish, and I found fulfillment in my pursuits, knowing that each day brought us closer to our shared dreams. Occasionally, I thought about Jessica and the role she had played in shaping my path. Her memory no longer carried the sting it once did, but instead served as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of forgiveness. One day, as I flipped through old photos with Lily, she paused at a picture of Jessica and me at our wedding. "Who's this, Dad?" she asked, curiosity in her eyes. I smiled, ruffling her hair affectionately. "That's a story for another day, Lily," I replied, knowing that when the time came, I would share the lessons learned from my past with honesty and compassion. As I watched Lily grow into adulthood, pursuing her passions and forging her path, I felt a deep sense of pride and gratitude. Our journey had taught us that life was a tapestry of moments, some joyful, some challenging, but all woven together to create a rich and meaningful narrative. As Anna and I watched the sunset from our balcony, our hearts full of gratitude for the life we had built together, I knew that our journey was far from over. With each new day came the promise of new horizons, new adventures, and new opportunities to embrace the beauty of change. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another, a story of resilience, growth, and the enduring power of love. And as Anna leaned in to kiss me, her hand in mine, I knew that our journey together was just beginning. The decision to sell our home and move to a new city was both exhilarating and daunting. Anna and I had spent years building a life in our cozy neighborhood, but the allure of new opportunities beckoned us forward. With mixed emotions, we packed our belongings and said farewell to the place that had been our sanctuary for so long. Mike, my steadfast friend and confidant, was there every step of the way. From helping us organize the move to providing emotional support during moments of uncertainty, his presence was a grounding force in the whirlwind of change. As we settled into our new home in the bustling city, I marveled at the blank canvas before us. The spacious rooms and modern amenities offered a fresh start, a chance to redefine our lives and embrace new possibilities. Mike, ever the practical one, rolled up his sleeves and dove into the task of setting up our new space. Together, we assembled furniture, hung curtains, and tackled the inevitable challenges that came with moving to a new place. "Jake," Mike said one evening as we shared a beer on the patio, "this city suits you. It's got that energy you thrive on." I nodded, gazing out at the city lights twinkling in the distance. "It feels right, Mike, like we're exactly where we're supposed to be." In the weeks that followed, Anna immersed herself in her new job, finding fulfillment in her career and forming connections with colleagues who shared her passion. Lily, ever adaptable, quickly made friends at her new school and embraced the opportunities that awaited her. Meanwhile, I explored the vibrant neighborhood, discovering hidden cafes, bustling markets, and local landmarks that added color to our new surroundings. Each day brought discoveries and moments of wonder as we settled into our new routine. One weekend, Mike suggested we explore a nearby hiking trail that offered sweeping views of the city skyline. As we hiked along the winding path, surrounded by the beauty of nature, juxtaposed with urban sprawl, I couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us here. "Jake," Mike said as we paused to catch our breath, "you've come a long way since those dark days with Jessica." "I'm proud of you, man." I smiled, touched by his words. "Thanks, Mike. I couldn't have done it without your support." Together, we stood at the summit, taking in the panoramic view of the city stretching out before us. The skyline glittered in the fading light of the setting sun, a symbol of new beginnings and endless possibilities. As we made our way back down the trail, I reflected on the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of change. Our journey had been marked by twists and turns, challenges and triumphs, but through it all, we had found strength in each other's friendship and support. Back at home, Anna greeted us with a smile as she prepared dinner in our new kitchen. The aroma of her cooking filled the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter and conversation that echoed through our new home. "Mike," Anna said warmly, setting a dish on the table, "thank you for everything you've done to help us settle in. We couldn't have done it without you." Mike grinned, raising his glass in a toast. "To new beginnings," he said, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "To new beginnings," I echoed, clinking my glass against theirs. As we shared a meal filled with laughter and shared stories, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the friendships that had sustained us through life's ups and downs. Our journey was far from over, but in that moment, surrounded by loved ones in our new home, I knew that we had found the courage to embrace change and the resilience to thrive in our new chapter of life. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another, a story of starting fresh, finding strength in friendship, and discovering the beauty of new beginnings. And as I looked around the table at Anna and Mike, their smiles reflecting the warmth of our shared journey, I knew that the best was yet to come. Joining the workforce in a new city brought a wave of excitement and anticipation. The job I had landed aligned perfectly with my skills and aspirations, offering opportunities for growth and development. As I settled into my role, I found myself surrounded by enthusiastic colleagues who welcomed me warmly into their team. One person in particular stood out, Anna. With her infectious smile and genuine warmth, she quickly became a bright spot in my day. We bonded over shared interests and a mutual love for exploring the city's vibrant culture. Our friendship deepened over time, fueled by laughter, shared experiences, and late-night conversations that stretched into the early hours of the morning. Anna was not just a friend, she was a confidant, a source of comfort during moments of doubt, and a beacon of hope during times of uncertainty. As we explored the city together, discovering hidden gems in quaint cafes, attending cultural events, and embarking on spontaneous adventures, I found myself drawn to Anna in ways I hadn't expected. Her kindness, intelligence, and zest for life ignited a fire within me, a longing for something more. One evening, as we stood on a rooftop terrace, gazing out at the city skyline bathed in the glow of the setting sun, I turned to Anna with a question that had been weighing on my heart. "Anna," I began tentatively, "I've enjoyed every moment we've spent together. You've become such an important part of my life." She looked at me with curiosity and warmth. "And you've become a cherished friend to me too," she replied softly. Taking a deep breath, I continued, "Anna, I want you to know that being with you has brought light into my life. You've been my anchor, my confidant, and my partner in adventure. I can't imagine my days without you." Her eyes softened, a smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "Jake," she whispered, "you've brought so much joy into my life as well. I feel like I've known you forever." At that moment, surrounded by the city's twinkling lights and the quiet hum of evening traffic below, I knew that I had found something rare and beautiful, a connection that transcended friendship and blossomed into something deeper. As our relationship grew, so did our dreams and aspirations. We supported each other through challenges and celebrated each other's successes. Anna's unwavering support and belief in me gave me the courage to pursue my passions and strive for excellence in every aspect of my life. Together, we created memories that would last a lifetime, traveling to far-flung destinations, sharing quiet moments in our favorite cafes, and laughing until our sides hurt at inside jokes only we understood. One day, as we strolled hand in hand through a sun-dappled park, I turned to Anna with a question that had been burning in my heart for months. "Anna," I began, my voice steady despite the nervous flutter in my stomach, "will you marry me?" She stopped in her tracks, her eyes widening in surprise. Tears welled up in her eyes as she nodded eagerly, unable to find words amidst the overwhelming rush of emotions. I pulled out a small velvet box from my pocket, opening it to reveal a sparkling diamond ring that caught the sunlight. Placing it gently on her finger, I felt a surge of joy and anticipation as she whispered a heartfelt "yes." At that moment, surrounded by the beauty of nature and the promise of a future together, I knew that I had found my soulmate. Anna was my light at the end of the tunnel, the embodiment of hope, love, and everything I had ever dreamed of. As we began planning our future together, choosing a venue, selecting invitations, and imagining our life as husband and wife, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had led me to this point. Every twist and turn, every triumph and setback had brought me closer to Anna and the happiness we shared. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another, a story of new beginnings, enduring love, and the transformative power of hope. And as I looked into Anna's eyes, her hand in mine, I knew that our journey together was just beginning. Time passed, and with it came clarity. The shadows of my past, once looming large, gradually receded into the background of my life. I had come to realize that while revenge offered a fleeting sense of satisfaction, it did not heal the wounds or bring lasting peace. In the quiet moments of reflection, I found myself pondering the true meaning of closure. It wasn't about righting the wrongs or seeking retribution. It was about finding inner peace and moving forward with grace. Anna had been my rock throughout it all, her unwavering support and love guiding me through the darkest moments. Together, we had built a life filled with laughter, love, and shared dreams. She had shown me the power of forgiveness and the importance of embracing each day with gratitude. As I watched Lily grow into a remarkable young woman, full of compassion and determination, I felt a swell of pride in the person she had become. Her resilience mirrored my journey, a testament to the strength of the human spirit in overcoming adversity. One day, as I stood on the shore of a tranquil lake, the sun setting in a blaze of orange and gold, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The turmoil of the past had given way to a deep understanding, a realization that true victory lay not in vengeance, but in letting go. I had learned that forgiveness was not a weakness, but a strength, a gift we give ourselves to release the weight of anger and resentment. It was a choice to free our hearts from the chains of the past and embrace the beauty of the present moment. Reflecting on my journey, I understood that life was a tapestry woven with threads of joy and sorrow, triumphs and challenges. Each experience shaped me into the person I was meant to be, a person capable of love, compassion, and forgiveness. As I walked back to our home, the evening air crisp and filled with the scent of pine, I found Anna waiting for me on our porch swing. Her smile was a beacon of warmth in the gathering twilight. "Jake," she said softly, reaching out to take my hand. "You've come so far. I'm proud of the man you've become." I squeezed her hand gently, feeling a rush of gratitude for her presence in my life. "Thank you, Anna," I replied, my voice steady with emotion. "You've taught me more than you know." Together we sat in companionable silence, watching as the stars began to twinkle in the velvety sky above. In that moment, surrounded by the peace of our home and the love of my family, I knew that I had found my moral victory. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another, a story of redemption, resilience, and the transformative power of forgiveness. As I leaned in to kiss Anna's cheek, her warmth enveloping me like a comforting embrace, I knew that our journey together was far from over. With each passing day, I continued to learn and grow, guided by the lessons of the past and the promise of a future filled with hope and possibility. And as I looked ahead, hand in hand with Anna and Lily, I knew that the greatest victories were those won within the depths of our hearts. Life had taught me invaluable lessons, lessons etched deep into the fabric of my being, shaping the way I navigated relationships and approached the world around me. Through the trials and triumphs, I learned to trust my instincts and exercise caution in choosing a partner. The journey had been arduous, marked by moments of doubt and introspection, yet with each step forward, clarity emerged like a beacon in the fog. I came to understand that true happiness could only be found in honest and sincere relationships, ones built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. Anna had become the embodiment of these values, a pillar of strength and authenticity in my life. Her unwavering support and unwavering love have shown me the power of genuine connection. Together, we shared a bond forged in the crucible of life's challenges, a bond that grew stronger with each passing day. As I looked back on my past, I recognized the pitfalls of rushing into relationships driven by fleeting emotions or external pressures. I had learned the importance of patience and discernment, qualities that had eluded me in my youth but now guided my choices with wisdom and clarity. With Anna by my side, I found solace in the simple moments, the quiet conversations over morning coffee, the shared laughter under starlit skies, and the comfort of knowing that I had found a partner who cherished me for who I was. Together, we navigated the ebb and flow of life's currents, drawing strength from our shared values and aspirations. Anna's presence was a constant reminder of the transformative power of love, a love that healed old wounds and illuminated the path forward. As we embarked on new adventures and faced new challenges, I carried with me the lessons of my journey, the importance of authenticity, the value of patience, and the beauty of finding true happiness in genuine relationships. Looking into Anna's eyes, her warmth enveloping me like a familiar embrace, I knew that I had found my anchor, the person who grounded me in moments of uncertainty and celebrated with me in moments of triumph. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another, a story of growth, resilience, and the profound lessons that shaped my understanding of love and happiness. As I held Anna's hand, our fingers intertwined like threads weaving a tapestry of shared dreams, I knew that our journey together was a testament to the enduring power of authenticity and sincerity. With each passing day, I embraced the teachings of life with gratitude and humility, knowing that the lessons learned had sculpted me into the person I was destined to become, a person capable of giving and receiving love in its purest form. As the sun set on another day, casting a golden glow over our home, I felt a deep sense of peace knowing that I had found my place in the world, a place defined by honesty, integrity, and the boundless possibilities of a future built on genuine connection. The lessons of life were etched into my heart, guiding me forward with renewed purpose and a profound appreciation for the journey that had led me to this moment, where true happiness bloomed in the light of authentic love.